In his previous life, Fang Ping'an was brought back to the Fang family by his biological parents at the age of 14. He, who longed for family affection, deliberately tried to please and endure all kinds of PUA from his family, and did not change his original intention even when he was kidnapped and killed by the fake young master Fang Hongjun. The whole family only focused on comforting the frightened Fang Hongjun, but forgot about Fang Ping'an at the scene and died from excessive bleeding. The soul of Fang Ping'an followed Fang Hongjun for more than a decade before realizing that Fang Hongjun was not a fake young master, but a child of Fang's father and Qingmei. After being reborn, Fang Ping'an tried to give himself, his mother, and his sisters one last chance, but he was still disappointed. After his mother and sisters made a choice, Fang Ping'an gave up. He lifted the table. After severing all ties with the Fang family, he returned to his adoptive parents and grew up with his sister. His sisters, who thought he was playing hard to get, didn't believe anything they said until the evidence was conclusive before they began to regret it. Unfortunately, the delayed family relationship, like the delayed rescue, can no longer move Fang Ping'an. Chapter 1. I Can't Endure It, Love Let's Do It. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Blue Star. Yuncheng, Yunnan Province. Did you take my necklace to sell for money? Are you that fond of money? Sister Fang Qingyan's voice can be considered calm. But the contemptuous taste is very strong. Second sister Fang Jinglei sneered, it must have been used to subsidize his adoptive father. Third sister Fang Zhijie said with a strange tone, you shouldn't have come back in the first place. If this spreads, where will my parents' faces go? Big sister, don't expect him to admit it. What good things can be taught by those country bumpkins at home? You see, he's still pretending to be foolish. Fang Ping'an restrained his mind and raised his eyes. I just walked in after school, and you all labeled me as a thief without distinction. This is not the first time. Not even asking Fang Hongjun if he took it. Third sister Fang Zhijie sneered, Hongjun has been obedient since childhood. He studies so well, and besides, he is not short of money. How could he be like you, an uneducated person? Fang Qingyan sighed and said, Ping'an, you're our younger brother, right? Fang Zhijie immediately said, I never admit it. I only have one younger brother, Hongjun. Fang Qingyan glared at her and then asked, regardless of whether you are our younger brother or not, who did you sell the necklace to? Can you get it back? Fang Jinglei sneered and said, his hands and feet are not clean. You don't know, big sister, and you don't know to be on guard. Fang Ping'an, carrying his backpack, turned around and walked towards his room. If you want to know, why don't you wait for Fang Hongjun to come back and ask if he took your necklace, big sister? Also, second sister and third sister, it's best to check if your jewelry is missing anything. Fang Zhijie sharply rebuked, don't call me third sister, listening makes me sick. Fang Jinglei also followed suit and said, don't call me second sister in the future, it's really uncomfortable. Fang Qingyan felt that something was wrong with Fang Ping'an today. In the past, if they were angry, this guy would admit his mistake first no matter what. Why don't you admit your mistake today? She slowed down her voice and said, peace, I don't care if you took the necklace as a gift. You should know that theft worth more than a certain amount can result in imprisonment. That necklace is very important to me. If you give it to another girl, bring it back to me and I'll just pretend it never happened. Even the fact that you stole from me before can be written off. I promise not to trouble you in the future. Fang Ping'an sighed and said, I didn't take anything. I have never taken anything from this house. I suggest that you wait until Fang Hongjun comes back and ask him what he means, or you can call the police first. I accept the results of the police investigation. He pushed open the door and walked in. As he closed the door, he heard the sharp voice of his third sister Fang Zhijie say, it's really uncivilized. Hongjun said he talked to a little girl outside, so he must have given her away. Stealing things from home and giving them to outsiders is really a country bumpkin, an uneducated lowly person. Fang Ping'an silently closed the door and sat at his desk, turning on the desk lamp and staring at a family photo in a daze. He was reborn. In his past life, he was stolen from the hospital by human traffickers. Later, the traffickers were arrested and sent to an orphanage. Before the age of 14, there were only two places in this world where he could survive. One is an orphanage, and the other is the Chen family who adopted him. After being brought back to the Fang family, apart from sister.He, the other three sisters and their parents all had various PUAs for him. All they were worried about was that their adopted son, Fang Hongjun, would have a psychological gap after he was brought back to the Fang family. He faced every member of the family with caution, like walking on thin ice. At that time, I was young and didn't understand what the Fang family meant by not disclosing his identity to the public. He's not even as good as Fang Hongjun, at least Fang Hongjun still has an adopted son's title. What about him? There's nothing. What he cherishes is finding his biological parents, as well as his extremely beautiful sister. On the surface, Fang Hongjun was polite to him, and in private, he had all kinds of framing and slandering, which he never cared about. He even knew that Fang Hongjun could receive a starting allowance of 50,000 yuan as long as he spoke up, but he never spoke up and had no allowance, which he didn't mind. He understood that Fang Hongjun accompanied his family while he was away, and also made up for the pain of his mother losing her son. The other party, Hongjun, is better. It's not a big deal. After all, 10 years of love is real. In the Western New Year, the room he stayed in was like a maid's room at home. He treated his family wholeheartedly, but never gave him much response. What's even more ridiculous is that if it weren't for Fang Hongjun blushing and saying, "I don't even have a brother," I wouldn't dare to accept him. He used to be afraid that he didn't even have gifts and Chinese New Year red envelopes. No one remembers his birthday, which is less than a month earlier than Fang Hongjun. At the age of 18, when he officially reached adulthood, which was over a month later, the Fang family had to face whether to give him true fame. He was kidnapped. In the abandoned warehouse, he saw that Fang Hongjun had also been kidnapped. And what was used to threaten the Fang family was a video of cutting off their right thumb. When the Fang family sent a ransom of 2 million yuan for the sake of face, they were immediately increased in price, and he was stabbed in the leg for it. That knife cut through the large artery on his leg, and the Fang family ignored his still bleeding leg and begged the kidnappers not to harm Fang Hongjun. After death, Fang Ping'an floated in the sky and watched as Fang Hongjun, who had been frightened and fell into a coma, was taken to the hospital's special care unit by them. He was taken to the morgue. The Fang family only remembered his existence when they received a notice from the hospital that cremation was necessary. After wandering around the Fang family in Yunqing for over a year, he slowly realized that everything was planned by Fang Hongjun. He witnessed Fang Hongjun and the kidnapper who had escaped for a year by phone to pay the final payment. Fang Hongjun was afraid that he would really be recognized by Fang Junhong. In order to truly obtain the inheritance rights of the Fang family, he designed to kill his only competitor, Fang Ping'an. He followed Fang Hongjun for more than a decade every day, and the first time he woke up was just over a month before his birthday. As soon as I was reborn, I faced the questioning of my three sisters. Fang Ping'an slowly reached out his hand, took off the photo frame on the table, and wiped away the floating dust on it. This is the only thing he got in this family. Staring at himself standing at the edge of the family portrait, he let out a bitter smile. Looking at Fang Hongjun sitting next to his mother, he really looks a bit like his father. Slowly remove the cover, take out the photo, and sit there reminiscing about the little things I did in this home in my past life. To put it another way, I was wondering to what extent I used to be mentally disabled and foolish enough to be so dull. It can be said that one has an unforgettable ability, but intelligence is also sufficient. But it was in this matter that I was so foolish. However, within half an hour, Father Fang Junhong, Mother Zhao Wei, and Fang Hongjun returned together. The domestic servant will wait for Fang Junhong to come back and serve food. Fang Ping'an knew that time was almost up, and he was also prepared. Last time. Give it a last try. He opened the door and walked down. Sure enough, it is exactly the same as every day in the past years. No one ever thought about asking him to eat. Why did you just come down to eat by yourself when it's time? Do you still want someone to come up and treat you? Fang Junhong frowned and looked disgusted. Zhao Wei took care of Fang Hongjun, who was also 18 years old, without even looking at him. Fang Ping'an remained silent and pulled out his chair to sit down. The servant Tang Bo served him a bowl of rice and placed it in front of him. Mother Zhao Wei picked up a chicken leg and put it into Fang Hongjun's bowl. Son, hurry up and eat. He, calling an adopted son is a son, calling a biological son is peace. Fang Ping'an picked up his own dishes and ate, looking like a normal person. Fang Zhidie couldn't help it anymore. Usually, this guy wouldn't dare to use his chopsticks even if no one asked him to pick up food. Even if it's a meal, it's just 1 or 2 dishes in front of me. How did you become so bold today? She put down her chopsticks and said, Dad, Mom, Fang Ping'an stole sister's jewelry again and sold it for money. He must have taken it to his adoptive father. Before Fang Ping'an could speak, Fang Hongjun said, Second sister, it's also appropriate for Ping'an to take care of his adoptive parents. Don't say that about him. Fang Ping'an let out a deep sigh and put down the dishes. I can't bear it anymore, let's do what we love. What? Did you see me stealing or did you see me transferring money to Uncle Chen? Pop. Fang Junhong slammed his chopsticks heavily on the dining table, his face full of resentment. The plates and bowls shook loudly. How did you talk to your sister? Can you still be wronged if you steal or not? Do you have to take all the stolen goods before you admit it? Chapter 2. Don't eat his mother. You are listening at novel full.audio. Fang Junhong's voice is loud. Fang Hongjun was also startled by this loud voice, but soon Zhao Wei patted his hand and comforted him, saying, Don't be afraid of your son. Lao Fang, be careful, you scared your son. Fang Qingyan said, This is not the first time I've experienced it. It wasn't you who stole it, was it Hongjun who took it? Fang Ping'an looked at Fang Hongjun across from him with a smile on his face. Fang Hongjun felt uneasy all over when he saw him. Ping'an, do you think I took my sister's things? I don't have it. You. I know you don't like me. If it makes you happy, I can move out of my parents' and sister's house. Fang Hongjun's fair face was tinged with a hint of grievance and stubbornness, and with red eyes, he looked somewhat delicate and pitiful. That tears are just in my eyes, they just don't flow down. Absolutely. In his past life, Fang Ping'an never paid attention to these things. What he wants can only come from his parents and sister, and he only cares about these few people. Fang Hongjun's acting skills once made him feel angry. But the brainless trust and favoritism of his parents and sisters, compared to all their prejudices against him, can only make him increasingly insecure and eager for recognition. This is not necessarily PUA. When you look at it from a different angle and height, don't worry, this guy can really go in the direction of film and television. I certainly haven't stolen anything from this family. It's not him, who else can it be? Fang Hongjun has always excelled in acting, and Zhao Wei immediately felt heartbroken. Good son, what are you talking about? Your mom's son, no one can change that. Fang Junhong's angry expression was highlighted on his face, and as he was about to speak, Fang Ping'an spoke first. Okay. You move out. It's best to move today. Zhao Wei turned around and Fang Junhong punched the table, roaring. Bang! Shut up. This house has no place for you to speak. If you haven't made it clear about stealing yet, you're going to cause trouble. Zhao Wei frowned and said, Ping'an, how could you treat Hongjun like this? He is your younger brother. When you didn't come back, Mom would think of you like crazy every day with tears washing her face. If it weren't for your father bringing him back and accompanying his mother since childhood. Fang Ping'an looked at the tears that Fang Hongjun had finally shed, then at his mother Zhao, followed by his father and 3 older sisters. I didn't take it. He took a deep breath and said, if you don't believe it, you can call the police. If the police determine that it was me who took it, I am willing to go to jail. Fang Jinglei sneered and said, you know Dad won't let the police come to your door. You're just saying this to cover up your own anxiety, right? Fang Qingyan has already started serving as the CEO of Fang Group, although it is only her 2nd year, she is relatively much more calm. She watched silently. Her father was present, and it was not her turn to make the decision. Fang Junhong angrily said, do you want the Fang family to make a fool of themselves? How did your foster parents teach you? Have you not broken away from your vulgar habits in the past few years since returning to the Fang family? Fang Ping'an is not angry at all. Really, he even wanted to laugh a bit. The poor biological mother, holding Fang Hongjun, who was also about 18 years old, gently comforted him, making him almost unable to hold on. Fang Hongjun, you're about to turn 18 like me. Do you think it's a very touching scene for an 18-year-old adult man to cry in the arms of his foster mother? It's okay if you don't feel nauseous, please don't come and nauseous me, okay? Pia. Fang Junhong stood up with a face full of anger and slapped Fang Ping'an heavily in the face. Fang Ping'an's body tilted and almost fell on the table. There is no pain in the left face, except for numbness. It took 2 to 3 seconds before the pain began to feel. What are you talking nonsense about? If you don't eat, go away. Fang Junhong's roar echoed in his ears. The 3 older sisters were frightened. Fang Ping'an's eyes didn't even look at anyone else. He only stared at Fang Hongjun, this shady person. Zhao Wei was taken aback. He leaned forward and extended his hand towards Fang Ping'an, then withdrew in mid-air. Fang Ping'an sat with his head down, his ears still buzzing. Damn it, maybe the eardrum is broken. He lifted his left hand and reached into his ear to touch it. Sure enough, it's bleeding. The left face still doesn't hurt, but it's very numb and hot. He smiled at his father Fang Junhong. I'm your own child in this family, right? Regardless of whether Fang Junhong regretted it or not, he pointed to Fang Hongjun and said, is he your biological? Fang Junhong's face turned pale and he glanced at Fang Hongjun. Zhao Wei quickly comforted and said, you are all mother's children. Why are you so clear about each other? Fang Zhidie pouted and said, what are you? I only have one younger brother, Hongjun. Fang Jinglei frowned, but the other party was also unhappy about her safety. Fang Zhidie continued, is it important to be biological? We have been living together for 18 years, how long have you only been here? Watching others remain silent, Fang Hongjun continues to lie beside his mother with a very injured look, making him even more eager to laugh. Unfortunately, Fang Hongjun, this bastard, still wants to stir up fire. Brother, I'll go back to my room and pack my things. I'll move out tonight. Just don't argue with your parents and sisters anymore. I only have respect for you. I know, I have taken up 18 years of your family happiness. If you want it, I will give it back to you. Fang Ping'an, who was covering her face, was shocked. Walmart. This guy, awesome. I really need to give him a thumbs up. At this moment, tone, expression, action, and simple head splashing Fang Junhong turned his head and shouted at him, just sit still, it's none of your business. Zhao Wei patted Fang Hongjun's hand with heartache. Don't be sad, son. Ping'an is just an angry remark. Don't take it to heart. Mom can't bear to see you leave. She turned her head with resentment and said to the other person safely. Your younger brother has been without parents since he was young, he is already pitiful enough. How can he survive if you ask him to leave? Fang Zhidie pointed at Fang Ping'an, her head trembling with anger. Fang Ping'an, you are too malicious. I shouldn't have let my parents pick you up back then. Indeed, it's an uncivilized thing raised outside. Fang Ping'an slowly stood up and calmly said. Dad, Mom, big sister, second sister, third sister. Don't call me sister, I don't have a younger brother like you. Fang Hongjun.The shouted angrily. Fang Jinglei simply spat. No matter how they react, Fang Ping'an continued to say. Either the wild seed he brought with him moves away, or my biological son moves away. You can choose. Seeing that Fang Ping'an's left ear was bleeding, Fang Junhong had some regrets for making a heavy move earlier, but now when he heard this sentence, it exploded. He stood up and kicked Fang Ping'an to the ground with just one kick. Whoever you say is a wild seed, that's your brother. Zhao Wei cried, Ping'an, how could you force Mom like this? He is your younger brother. Can't the family have a good meal? Fang Hongjun had tears on his face and his eyes drooped. The hands under the table were tightly clenched together, and the knuckles turned white. Fang Junhong cursed, it seems that bringing you back was really a mistake. Since you came, you have been causing trouble in this family every day. If you're willing to stay in this home, just stay honest with me. If you don't want to stay, get out of here. Fang Ping'an slowly got up. It really hurts. My little body is hitting this marble floor, it's really painful. Just now, you said, if you don't want to eat, don't eat. His tone was extremely calm. But the anger in my eyes cannot be concealed. Fang Junhong could clearly see the anger buried deep in his son's eyes. Now, you said, if you don't want to stay, get out of this house. He placed his hands on the marble table and suddenly exerted force. Wow. Then stop eating his mother. I will sever ties with you all. Clattering and clattering. Are you serious about Chapter 3? You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Fang Hongjun's first action was not to dodge, but to reach out and hold on to Zhao Wei. This scene fell into everyone's eyes. The table was overturned, and soup and water spilled all over. Fang Hongjun firmly supported Zhao Wei. The three sisters were shocked and their faces turned pale. Fang Ping'an, you're crazy. This is the scream of Fang Hongjun.The. Fang Jinglei sat beside him without any influence. When the servant came out of the kitchen, what he saw was a chaotic restaurant and a scene of panic. By comparison, Fang Jinglei is relatively calm, but what is more calm than her is Fang Qingyan. The two of them exchanged a glance, both believing that this was an absolutely impossible thing to happen. When did Fang Ping'an have such great courage? Not only did he dare to ask his younger brother to leave the house, but he even ignored his mother's plea. In the past, he never dared to resist. The humble and obsequious demeanor lowered to the dust still lingers in their minds. But just now, he dared to call his father Mr. Fang. The scene before them was as shocking as a cognitive earthquake. Even my father was stunned. Fang Junhong is really confused. Flipped the table where my parents were eating. This, Jian Shou is unreasonable. What kind of person can do such a thing? Rebels. Livestock. Jian Shou is crazy. Fang Junhong disregarded the dishes and soup on his body and stood up to demand that the other party take action safely. As Fang Ping'an took a step back, he raised his hand and shouted loudly, "Wait a minute. This move is very effective." All the shocked people, including Fang Junhong who was about to take action, stopped. Fang Ping'an continued to take 2 steps back. I have another question. Fang Junhong's eyes were red, clearly angry. Not loving or liking me, bringing me back is just for the sake of the face of the Fang family. Just now, you all chose Fang Hongjun, let's get together and part ways. What do you think if I quit the Fang family and never come back? No matter how much property the Fang family has, I don't want a penny. Let's sign a document that severs all ties, and then I'll get out of here immediately. Looking at the surprise and joy in Fang Hongjun's eyes, Fang Ping'an raised his hand and once again stopped Fang Qingyan from speaking. I know this thing actually has no legal effect, but it's okay, as long as you and I both agree. Fang Qingyan scolded, Ping'an, don't take any advantage and challenge our patience time and time again. Fang Zhidie was happy. I agree. Anyway, I never promised you would be my younger brother. Fang Jinglei sneered and said, Fang Ping'an, it's better not to play the trick of playing hard to get, it's too fake. Fang Hongjun spoke again, brother, you don't need to do this. You are the future owner of this family. Mom, let me go. He helped Zhao Wei sit down and pretended to go upstairs. Zhao Wei tightly tugged at his sleeve and cried, son, don't leave. She turned her head and looked at Fang Ping'an, crying and cursing. Why are you so cruel? Your younger brother has left, how should he live alone outside? How could I have given birth to a cruel son like you? Why did you drive him away? Oh my God, woo-woo. Fang Junhong has now calmed down. He was very angry, so angry that he was on the verge of death. Fang Ping'an really couldn't catch his eye. My academic performance is poor, and I have learned a lot from people who are not good at it. It has caused a girl to have an abortion, and the money was still given by my son Hongjun. These are not really big issues. Stealing things from home and selling them to support his adoptive parents is the place where he looks down on this son the most. What saddened him even more was that Fang Ping'an did not show the same respect and awe towards his father today as before. This is a state he has never seen before. If it weren't for the face of the Fang family, he might not have agreed to let Fang Ping'an come back. So, he said coldly. Do you think we don't love you? If we don't love you, why did we have to work hard for 10 years to find you back? If I don't love you, why should I let you learn and grow well, and get rid of the bad habits of the lower class that you learned from your foster parents? If you cannot see the care of your entire family towards you, it is enough to prove that you are an helpless adu. No matter how high my expectations are for you, you can't see them. Fang Qingyan said coldly, Fang Ping'an, you have disappointed us so much. Fang Ping'an was stunned. Ha! Love me to find me. Isn't it for the face of the Fang family? Did you search for 10 years? If it weren't for someone discovering that I looked too much like your face, would you remember that you still have a son wandering outside? The children of ordinary families are not as well dressed. They go to school by bus. Even the tuition fees are paid by themselves with the red envelopes saved for the new year and birthday. Is it okay to start in the top 30 of grade from junior high school? At school, Fang Hongjun doesn't know what he eats, but he only dares to spend less than 20 yuan a day. Whenever he goes to school, he doesn't have enough to eat at noon. Even if it's a holiday, he still has to work outside to earn some money, otherwise it's really not enough. Is there a face to say that you love him and care about him? Did I disappoint you? Have you ever seen my longing? Have you ever seen my despair? The last probing ends here. Don't worry about such a family. Zhao Wei covered her mouth and cried profusely, while Fang Hongjun comforted her in a low voice beside her. Tang Bo and several servants have already retreated to the kitchen. Fang Ping'an's gaze swept over the faces of everyone in the room, and then took out 2 pieces of paper from his pocket. Come on. Once we sign this, we'll cut off all ties and I'll leave immediately. I don't bring anything except my backpack, let's take care of each other. Since I walked out of this house tonight, I will never step into this courtyard again. You should never disturb my life either. Zhao Wei was frightened by these words and asked incredulously. Ping'an, you don't want your mother anymore? Fang Zhidie screamed, fortunately, I didn't transfer your household registration back then. Fortunately, your existence has never been publicly disclosed. Otherwise, the face of the Fang family would have been completely ruined by you. Fang Qingyan was also somewhat surprised. Are you serious? Do you know the consequences of doing so? Fang Jinglei remained silent and looked at Fang Ping'an. She's just curious, why is this guy suddenly so bloody? Isn't it a submissive song, afraid of making the whole family angry? Fang Junhong carried some soup on his body, his face dark as ink, and beneath his calm tone, he concealed the impending anger. Do you know what you're talking about? Fang Ping'an looked at his gloomy father and suddenly grinned, revealing his blood-stained red teeth. Oh, my household registration hasn't been transferred yet. It's okay not to sign, just reveal the identities of me and Fang Hongjun and let him get out of this house. Fang Junhong closed his eyes and tried to calm himself down. He spoke up and said, you can tear off these 2 pieces of paper by yourself, apologize to your mother, your 3 sisters, and your younger brother. I can pretend that nothing happened tonight. After you graduate from college, get out of the Fang family and start your own business. Fang Hongjun immediately said, brother, I'm fine, you don't need to apologize. Zhao Wei shook her head and said, Ping'an, quickly apologize to your father. And your sister, and they apologize. Is our family okay? Why are you insisting on doing so much? Fang Zhidie rolled her eyes and remained silent like Fang Jinglei. Fang Qingyan let out a long breath. Peace, as long as you return that necklace to me, I will let bygones be bygones. Apologize to my parents and Hongjun, I still recognize you as my younger brother. Chapter 4. Ms. Zhao, I have a kind suggestion for you. You are listening at novel full.audio. Fang Ping'an has moved. Take out a neutral pen from your pocket, pick up those 2 pieces of paper, bend over and sign your name on the chair. Put down the pen, take a step back, and make a gesture of invitation. He stood still, quietly watching Fang Junhong. Silent. Seeing him really, not only Fang Qingyan, but even Fang Zhidie and Fang Jinglei changed their faces. Isn't he just indulging in hard to get? Why do we have to do it so brilliantly? Is it necessary for a family to make such a fuss? Apologize and soften, what can we do? Didn't we always apologize actively and accept leniency in the past? If this were to spread, not only would it be their face, but also the face of the Fang family in the family on their mother's side, wouldn't it be all lost? Fang Qingyan quickly walked over and reached out her hand to the 2 pieces of paper. Fang Ping'an's voice sounded coldly. Sister, tearing it up means you agree to let Fang Hongjun get out of the Fang family and publicly announce that the Fang family has nothing to do with him. Fang Zhidie screamed, you dream. Fang Qingyan's hand stopped halfway and slowly withdrew. A hint of joy flashed in Fang Hongjun's eyes, but he got up and walked quickly upstairs. Dad, you must not sign. Brother, don't be impulsive either. I'll pack my things now. I'll move out immediately. Zhao Wei covered her mouth, tears welled up in her eyes. When she saw her son go upstairs, she immediately burst into tears. No, son, don't leave. It's safe. Please apologize to your father quickly. How about taking a soft coat? You. What exactly do you want to do? She held Fang Hongjun's leg and held on to his clothes, refusing to let go. She turned her head anxiously to look at Ping'an, with a hint of pleading. Fang Hongjun was pulled and stopped in place, but his eyes turned to Fang Ping'an. Fang Ping'an glanced at him and then calmly looked at Fang Junhong again. For a moment, the vast Fang family restaurant was silent except for Zhao Wei's sobs. Fang Junhong fell silent. After a while, he reached out and bent down to pick up the pen, signing his name amidst the low screams of Fang Qingyan and Fang Jinglei. Throw away the pen. He spoke gloomily and said, Hongjun is your younger brother. Although not biological, for the past 18 years, without his company, your mother would have gone crazy long ago. It was our lack of discipline towards you that led to you becoming what you are now. Narrow-minded, disregarding family affection. You are not worthy to be a member of our Fang family. Zhao Wei has been pampering herself for decades and has never seen such a scene before. At this moment, she was completely shocked by the actions of this father and son. She didn't let go of Fang Hongjun's hand and just looked at Fang Ping'an sadly, saying, "Ping'an, do you have to do this? Drive your younger brother out, how do you want him to live? How could you force your father so cruelly?" Fang Ping'an picked up one of the agreements and glanced at the signature, then carefully folded it and stuffed it into his pocket. "I'm going upstairs to get my backpack. Do you need supervision?" No one paid attention to him. He turned around and quickly walked upstairs, went back to his room to pick up his backpack and stuffed a few dictionaries into it. "This thing is too expensive, I can't bear to lose it." Picking up the family photo, I looked at it for 2 seconds, then tore myself apart and threw it into the trash can. "Turn around and go downstairs." In the hall, the whole family remained motionless in their original position. "It looks so sad." He. Fang Ping'an walked calmly down. Fang Qingyan looked at him with half a swollen face, and the blood flowing from his ears was so glaring under the light. Fang Ping'an opened the door and was about to leave when Zhao Wei's crying came from behind. "Ping'an, don't you leave, okay? Mom begged you, don't you leave, okay?" Fang Ping'an turned around and looked at Zhao Wei. At this moment, her nose and tears had completely blurred her makeup. The mother who usually pays attention to appearance and dislikes his rustic demeanor is really a bit eye-catching now. Fang Junhong didn't even care about his wife Zhao Wei. He stared at Fang Ping'an and said, "You still have a chance to make amends now. Tear up the agreement, apologize to your mother and them, I can still accommodate you. Otherwise, I'll pretend I haven't given birth to your son." Fang Ping'an didn't look at him, he was looking at Fang Hongjun, Fang Zhidie, Fang Jinglei, Fang Qingyan, and his biological mother Zhao Wei. He slowly looked at everyone once and said, stepping out of this door, "I hope we will never have any interaction. I will never come to you, and please never take the initiative to come to me. Just think you never found me back then." Fang Zhidie snorted, "Who cares to find you?" Fang Jinglei remained silent, as if this matter had nothing to do with her. He didn't understand the expression in Fang Qingyan's eyes, but please ask him. "Mr. Fang, remember, just pretend you haven't given birth to me." "Ms. Zhao, I have a kind suggestion for you. The one you are holding is your adopted son, but it is only your adopted son." He emphasized his tone on, "It's just yours," then let go and walked out. The door slowly closed behind me. The sound of Zhao Wei wailing and crying can be heard through such a thick door. He doesn't care. Which biological mother can still value her adopted son more than her own son after retrieving her biological son? Who didn't drive away counterfeit goods? Of course, this counterfeit is only targeted at Zhao Wei. Otherwise, could Fang Junhong treat that guy so well? If it weren't for dying once, this big idiot would probably continue to kneel and lick everyone in the house like a licking dog. From beginning to end, he was kidnapped by Fang Hongjun's design and died in that abandoned warehouse. For the sake of being her own biological mother, I have already given a hint. Can you understand? It doesn't matter. From then on, the vast sea allows fish to leap, and the sky allows birds to fly. He doesn't believe he can't support himself anymore. The villa area is very large, and it takes 10 minutes to walk to the street every time I go to school. Then you have to take half a stop to get to the bus stop. It's not yet 8 p.m., and there's still a car to take back to my foster parents' house. He will take the college entrance examination next year, and his household registration is still there. Tang Bo and his family servants cleaned up the restaurant, and no one had the intention to eat the freshly cooked food. Fang Junhong said with a gloomy expression, "Let's all go wash up." Zhao Wei comes from the Zhao family in the capital city and has always paid attention to her own image. Upon hearing this, I will get up and go back to my room to take a shower. Fang Hongjun looked anxious and spoke quickly. "Dad, Mom, we can't just let brother leave like this. Where is he going alone? He still has to go to school tomorrow." I'll go and chase my brother back. He is your own son, I will go and call him back. I still have some money. I'll move out and rent a house to live in. As he spoke, he was about to walk towards the door, ignoring the fact that he was still carrying various colors of food and soup. Fang Hongjun let out a loud shout. Don't go. I don't believe how long that villain can stay outside. It was originally his fault, what does it have to do with you? Zhao Wei has completely lost her position, she is reluctant to let Fang Hongjun leave her. She carefully trained Fang Hongjun from a young age, and everything she gave him was the best. I am truly afraid of falling when I hold it in my hand, loving it like a eyeball. Plus, Hongjun has been obedient and well-behaved since childhood, and he is incredibly sensible. If she also left, it wouldn't be equivalent to digging her heart. Son, this is not your fault in the first place. Mom raised you from a young age, you don't want mom anymore. Fang Hongjun stepped forward and supported Zhao Wei, saying, Hongjun, don't think too much. I have the same opinion as my dad. It's just an uncivilized thing, let him go. Don't worry too much, your capital is our younger brother. Fang Hongjun's expression was somewhat sad. He stood in place with red eyes, his hand held by Zhao Wei. Fang Hongjun waved his hand and said, if he doesn't kneel down and apologize to you, then don't even think of stepping into my Fang family. Fang Qingyan suddenly remembered what Fang Ping'an had said before. She disregarded the filth on her body and took a step forward, asking, Hongjun, how did you know that my necklace was safely taken away? Fang Hongjun lowered his eyes and said, sister's necklace, other sisters won't take it. There are only so many people at home. I didn't take it. Fang Hongjun said disdainfully, sister, your necklace must be very valuable. That uneducated thing, stealing so much, if it were all sold, it could be exchanged for several million. With this money, he can live well. Don't scare Hongjun anymore. Chapter 5. Returning to the home of foster parents. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. What else does Fang Qingyan have to say? Fang Jinglei tugged at her and said. Alright, I feel so sticky and uncomfortable on my body. Sister, why don't you go get a change? She turned her head and said to Hongjun, you are our younger brother and have never lacked money since childhood. You definitely didn't take the things. Hurry up and take a shower in your own room. Fang Hongjun supported Zhao Wei and said, Mom, please slow down. I'll help you back to your room. Although Fang Jinglei felt that something was not quite right, she didn't say anything. She was clean and not splashed with soup. After taking a shower, she changed into her pajamas and lit a cigarette before starting to read the script. She is a somewhat famous screenwriter, and her home is his workplace. As she watched, she suddenly remembered the words Fang Ping'an said when she left. As a screenwriter, she is well aware of the beauty of writing. No matter how you interpret that sentence, it has at least 3 layers of meaning. But she is not sure which layer Fang Ping'an wants to express. The more I think, the more irritable I become. She simply stood up, opened the door, and went downstairs. The lobby downstairs has been cleaned up. When she walked to the door of Fang Ping'an's room, she suddenly realized that she seemed to have never been to this guy's room before. She hasn't come here twice in the past few years. The first time was when Fang Ping'an came to the Fang family. This is the second time. She stood outside the door, looking at the doorknob and noticed something she had never noticed before. Originally, in the past Western year, Fang Ping'an lived in a servant's room, and it was also the smallest one. Shaking her head to shake off these meaningless thoughts, she pushed open the door and walked in. There is only one bed, a wardrobe, a desk, and a hanger in the room. The blanket on the bed is neatly stacked. There are still 2 coats hanging on the hanger. Open the wardrobe, all the cabinets are empty, only 2 pairs of jeans. There is a shoe box in the wardrobe, and she can tell at a glance that it was given to Fang Ping'an by herself. Upon opening it, those AJs were not worn at all. When Fang Ping'an left, he didn't turn off the desk lamp. She suddenly remembered that when Fang Ping'an left, she was still wearing the school uniform of number 38 middle school on the table, except for a few stacks of papers that have been done, there is only one photo that has been partially torn off. Fang Jinglei looked at the photo quietly for a long, long time. At the same time, Fang Ping'an happened to enter the unit door of his adoptive father's house. This is a small old community, and most of the people here are old neighbors who have lived in it for more than 10 or 20 years. Due to the low floor, there is a strong atmosphere of fireworks between neighbors. Walking to the door of room 201, he raised his hand and knocked on the door. The door opened and a pleasurable cry rang out in the hallway. "Brother! Why did you come?" "Dad, Mom, it's Ping'an brother back." Fang Ping'an stopped the girl who was rushing towards her. "Oh, Hui, I haven't seen you in just over a year. Are you growing so tall?" "Uncle Chen, Aunt Lu, it's me." The girl who rushed over was called Chen Shuhui, the daughter of her adoptive father Chen Xiaohua and adoptive mother Lu Qing. After adopting him from an orphanage, Chen Shuhui was born 3 years later. The girl now looks a little over 1.6 meters tall, much longer than when I last saw her. I can already be considered a beautiful big girl. "Brother, I'm 16 years old. I'm already 1.66 meters old now, and I can still grow." Chen Shuhui took his hand and walked into the room. A middle-aged couple came out of the room. The actual age of Chen Xiaohua and his wife is only 11 or 12 in the West, but they appear to be around 50. Years of hard work have made this couple appear almost 10 years older than their actual age. The two welcomed each other with joy. "Ping'an is here, come in and sit down quickly." Fang Ping'an nodded with a smile and said, "Uncle Chen, Aunt Lu." Lu Qing rubbed her hands and said, come in quickly. "Have you eaten yet? If you haven't eaten, Mom will go and get you a bowl of noodles." After speaking, she awkwardly glanced at Fang Ping'an and said, "Auntie, go and get you a bowl of noodles." Fang Ping'an quickly said, "I haven't eaten it yet, thank you, Aunt Lu." Lu Qing turned around and went to the kitchen, raising her hand to wipe her eyes. Chen Shuhui asked, "Brother, did you fight with someone?" Fang Ping'an shook his head and said, "It's okay, it's a minor injury. It'll be okay in a few days." Chen Xiaohua looked at his face and ears again, but remained silent. Fang Ping'an looked at the man in front of him and the girl beside him, feeling inexplicably calmer. This is the home where he lived for over a decade. Once, his name was Chen Ping'an. Before the Western New Year, it was renamed Fang Ping'an. Just the family that gave him life and surname Fang Ping'an suppressed her thoughts and put down her backpack to look around the room. The decorations in the house are no different from before the Western New Year, and all the decorations are the same as the year he left. "Why did you come over? You've been wronged at the Fang family. Hui, have you finished your homework? Go and do your homework." Chen Xiaohua brought a cup of tea and placed it in front of him, glaring at Chen Shuhui. Chen Shuhui pouted, somewhat reluctant. "Dad, I haven't seen Ping'an brother for over a year. Can I just stay for a while?" Fang Ping'an smiled and touched the girl's head. Hui, you go do your homework first. I won't leave today." "Really?" Chen Shuhui's eyes lit up, "Are you staying at home tonight?" Chen Xiaohua was also a bit stunned. In the past few years, every time Ping'an came to visit them, he had never lived at home. Fang Ping'an nodded with a smile and said, I'm not leaving. I'm in my first year of high school, so I need to work hard. Let's go do our homework, and we'll talk after we finish it." Chen Shuhui's eyes curved, and she was clearly very happy that he could stay. "Don't sleep so early, I'll come find you after finishing my homework." Fang Ping'an smiled and watched as she stood up, only to realize that the girl had indeed grown up. At a height of 1.66 meters, he looks slim and has a lot of room for development. Chen Xiaohua took out a cigarette and lit it, then sat next to him and asked in person. "Why did you suddenly come here? Fang Ping'an doesn't know how to say this. It's not appropriate to say that you have nowhere to go. Did the first person tell him that they were not doing well at the Fang family, so they came back to seek comfort? Chen Xiaohua saw that he didn't answer, so he suddenly reached out and patted his shoulder. It's okay, it's safe. I told you before when you were taken back. Although we may not have as much money as the Fang family, the door of this family will always be open for you. No matter when you come back, we welcome you. A warm current flows through Fang Ping'an's heart, which is truly moving. His adoptive parents, including his younger sister, are really good to him. He has never felt underestimated in any aspect of this family. Uncle Chen, I'm fine. He smiled and said, I'm in my 3rd year of high school, and I'll take the college entrance examination next year. I heard them say my household registration is still here. Chen Xiaohua nodded and said, yes, they're still at home. At first, my intention was to transfer your household registration as well, but your father disagreed and said he would wait a few years. He looked at Fang Ping'an with a puzzled expression and asked, do they not like to see you? Fang Ping said calmly, it's nothing, it's all over. We won't have any further relationship with them in the future. Chen Xiaohua's face suddenly changed. Your face and ears were hit by your father. What's going on? Is it because the kid they used to adopt bullied you after Chen Ping'an was taken away from him by the Fang family? He specifically inquired about it. The Fang family adopted a child, who is the same age as Ping'an, and there are also 3 older sisters in the family. The haughty and arrogant look on the face of that family at the time and the situation at home really made people angry. Fang Ping'an shook his head and said, Uncle Chen, let's not mention the past. I don't have a place to go now. I can move out when I go to college. Do you think it's okay? Chapter 6. I'm not going. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Chen Xiaohua's face slightly recovered. If the child doesn't want to argue, then forget it. If this child had that idea, he wouldn't be polite to the Fang family. Do you really think Chen Xiaohua is just someone who runs a small restaurant? My son, who has been raised like a baby for 10 years, has been taken away by you. I still don't want to see you. Why? Isn't this purely a form of bullying? If it weren't for being angry back then, just this small branch of the Fang family, Yuncheng, would be nothing. He only smiled on his face after calming down his emotions. But he didn't notice that Fang Ping'an was waiting for his response, and his heart was really a bit nervous. He also knows that he has come too few times in the Western New Year. If it weren't for Fang Juanhong's special advice not to allow him to have any further contact with the Chen family, based on his personality, he would definitely have to keep in touch frequently. It's just that he used to care too much about the feelings of his biological parents and sisters. Looking back now, he also felt like a vengeful idiot. He didn't even understand the simple truth that giving birth to kindness is not giving birth to kindness. It's really foolish. Chen Xiaohua slapped him on the shoulder. Stinky kid, you're still so polite with uncle. I said this will always be your home, as long as there are people in this house, you can come anytime. Your room was also left untouched. After you left, Aunt Lu cried for a long time and the room remained untouched. Uncle, no matter how you've been at the Fang family, if you don't want to go back, just stay here. Lu Qing walked over from the kitchen with a bowl of fried noodles and placed it on the coffee table. Peace, eat the noodles quickly. What time is it? I haven't eaten yet, and I don't know what's wrong with you. Lu Qing's face was smiling. Fang Ping'an took the chopsticks and said, thank you, Aunt Lu. What I really want to eat these years is still the rice cooked by Aunt Lu. You child, hurry up and eat. Lu Qing sat down on the other side of Fang Ping'an and looked at him. Fang Ping'an smiled at Chen Xiaohua and said, Uncle Chen, I'll eat first. I'm really a bit hungry. Take your time eating, don't worry. Wife, go tidy up Ping'an's original room. He's not leaving and will stay here tonight. Just as Chen Xiaohua finished speaking, Lu Qing stood up in surprise. Really? Ping'an, are you not leaving? Fang Ping'an didn't lift his head and ate his noodles while saying, I'm not leaving. I'll stay for a few days. Lu Qing repeatedly agreed to go and tidy up his room for him. Chen Xiaohua said, take your time and I'll help you tidy up your room. He got up and walked inside. Fang Ping's placement slowed down the speed of eating noodles. When he was about to finish eating, he realized that there were still 2 fried eggs lying underneath the noodles. Sometimes when he and Chen Shuhui don't want to eat wonton, Lu Qing finds time in the kitchen to make the simplest pan-fried noodles for them. At the bottom, give each of them 2 fried eggs to lie on. This is exactly the same as in the past, which reminds Fang Ping'an of every bit of life here. After finishing the noodles, Fang Ping'an carried his bowl to the kitchen to prepare for washing, when his phone in his pocket suddenly rang. He took out his phone and glanced at Fang Qingyan. The bell keeps ringing. Fang Ping'an pressed the screen button on his phone once, and the whole world became quiet. Wash the dishes and then wash the pot as well. The phone rang again, he pressed it down again, and then adjusted the phone to silent mode. No matter what Fang Qingyan wants to say to him, he doesn't want to listen now. What he once admired the most was his elder sister Fang Qingyan. Except for her father, only Fang Qingyan can manage everyone in the family. Mother Zhao Wei, although she doesn't know how her family really is, from the little things she heard during the Western New Year, Fang Ping'an guessed that her mother's family is not bad in Yin province. Zhao Wei doesn't care about anything at ordinary times. She just goes out to socialize with her father. Fang Qingyan has the final say in everything at home. The other 3 sisters have great respect for their elder sister and are also obedient to discipline. Only Fang Hongjun acted too well in front of them. To be honest, as soon as Fang Ping'an returned, he knew that Fang Hongjun had hostility towards him. However, he was good at covering it up, and coupled with the brainless bias of his family, he couldn't tell they only see the Fang family and Fang Hongjun in their eyes, or rather, Fang Qingyan now prioritizes the interests of the Fang family over family ties. Since that's the case, what do you want to do when you call me? The best outcome is to be patient and not disturb each other. Dry your hands and walk towards the room where you used to live. The room is only over 120 square meters, but it is a 3-bedroom, 2-living room structure. The area of each room is not large and cannot be compared to the Fang family at all. Even the servant room he stayed in at the Fang family was slightly larger than this living room. Seeing him come in, Chen Xiaohua asked, you just bring a backpack, take off your coat and wash it later. You can wear it tomorrow morning. I shouldn't delay you from going to school. Lu Qing acted quickly and quickly made the bed. Fang Ping'an went to the living room sofa and picked up his backpack, saying, it's okay. I'll go to the wholesale market tomorrow to buy 2 sets of clothes, as long as they have enough to change. Lu Qing smiled and said, over the years, Uncle Chen and I have also saved up some money. If we go to any wholesale market, let's go to the big shopping mall to buy. Chen Xiaohua agreed, although we are doing a small business, it's not enough to make you unable to afford clothes. Fang Ping'an quickly explained, no, I mainly wear more school uniforms and don't go out too much on weekends. I have to study. There's no need to buy so many clothes, even if you buy them, you won't have a chance to wear them. After Chen Xiaohua and his wife tidied up their room, they came out. As he was leaving, Chen Xiaohua said to him, stay calm and don't think too much. If there's anything else, I'm still here. Study hard, and if you become independent in the future, you won't have to look at the faces of the Fang family anymore. Lu Qing tugged at him and scolded, why are you talking so much? The child has just returned, please let him rest for a while. The 2 of them closed the door when they went out. Fang Ping'an sat at the small desk, took out his books, and prepared to do his homework. As usual, put your phone aside as well. I took it out and glanced at it, but there were several unanswered calls from above. Upon clicking on it, all the calls were from Fang Ping'an. Leaving his phone behind, he began to diligently study the questions. In the first half of the third year of high school, there is actually not much new content left. Basically, every day is spent practicing questions. He had been floating in the sky for several years before his rebirth, and high school courses, regardless of their difficulty, still required him to review them. Who knows that Fang Ping'an never forgets? When he was a child, he won first place in a song. Later, he went to middle school and went to the Fang family. He felt that good grades were the only way to make his parents like him. But he never managed to stay at number 1 middle school according to the arrangement of the Fang family, instead staying at number 38 middle school. At that time, he didn't have so much thought. Now, thinking about it, he can only He. Don't want to attend the same school as Fang Hongjun, afraid of affecting him. He doesn't know exactly how Fang Hongjun's grades are, but if he really wants to give it his all, how could he ever be afraid? He never said in class that he had left the Chen family. This is all a request from Fang Junhong and Zhao Wei. Just like a fool, I still followed suit. In order not to be too eye-catching, he carefully controlled his performance in a song. Even if Fang Hongjun is in the best middle school in the city, so what? Chapter 7. Was my initiative to sever ties with them? You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. In the living room. Did you see the injury on his face? In Chen Xiaohua and Lu Qing's room, Lu Qing trembled and asked in a low voice. Chen Xiaohua nodded silently. Lu Qing continued to ask, I see that his ears are also bleeding, and all that blood has dried up. Chen Xiaohua sighed and said, Hui asked, but he didn't say anything. I also saw it, but it's not easy to ask. He can only speak up about this on his own, otherwise he won't be able to answer the question first. After a pause, he said, what if he was beaten by his biological father? What position do we have to stand up for him? Besides, we can't help him stand out even if we're like this now. Lu Qinghong's eyes turned red and he said, from childhood to adulthood, I have never let you touch his finger. This ear is bleeding from the blow, may it be damaged. Chen Xiaohua comforted and said, don't talk nonsense. I'll find the medical bag at home and send it to him later. By the way, I'll ask what's going on. This child should have come after being wronged. Lu Qing sighed and said, we shouldn't have let him go back then. She suddenly slapped Chen Xiaohua and said, if the Fang family comes again, don't promise to let Ping'an go back with them. Chen Xiaohua smiled bitterly and said, it depends on Ping'an's own thoughts. No matter how he chooses, we just need to support him. The rest can't be of much help. I don't care. Just ask if you were fighting with someone outside. If not, then it must have been his biological father. When I first saw his father that year, I felt that he was not a good person. If you look down on the small business we do, let it be. If you look down on your own son, is he still a qualified father? And his sisters, none of them are good things either. Lu Qing was a bit angry, she had no other way to vent her anger besides telling her husband. Chen Xiaohua gently patted her hand and said, go ahead, bring the medical bag, I'll go in and ask. When Chen Xiaohua knocked on the door, Fang Ping'an had only finished half of his first physics paper. Seeing the medical bag in his foster father's hand, Fang Ping'an realized that he still had an ear injury. Although listening to things is full of sounds, I also know that this kind of injury will heal on its own. It's just to be careful not to get sick and affect the repair of the eardrum. Ping'an, can you tell me what's going on? We're all worried about you. Chen Xiaohua put down his things and sat on the bed, watching him ask. Fang Ping'an thought for a moment and took out the agreement from his pocket and handed it over. Uncle Chen, I have severed ties with them. From now on, I have nothing to do with them. Chen Xiaohua took the paper and carefully looked at it, instantly burning with anger. Is this what they forced you to write? Is this something that a father can do? He asked with a trembling voice. Fang Ping'an quickly shook his head and said, no, I took the initiative to sever ties with them. Chen Xiaohua was shocked and said, what's going on? Didn't you say they were good to you before? Fang Ping'an was not embarrassed, he shared his true experiences over the past few years and what happened tonight. Chen Xiaohua sat quietly by the bed and then remained silent for a while before speaking. Ping'an, since you have chosen to leave the Fang family, let's continue to be father and son like before Xinyan. Anyway, your adoption procedures are still in our house, and your household registration is still there. He opened the medicine bag, took out iodine and cotton swabs. Are you wiping it yourself or should I help you? This slap broke the eardrums. What a cruel heart. Fang Ping'an took it over and said, it's okay, I can just wipe it myself. Although the eardrum may be broken, as long as you don't have a cold, fever, or illness, you can quickly grow on your own. Chen Xiaohua watched as he began to tidy up himself and continued, if you have anything to do in the future, just tell me. Although the Fang family ranks high in Yuncheng, they are really nothing compared to those families in the capital city. Fang Ping'an stopped his movements and said, Uncle Chen, I know. Don't worry, I won't have any further relationship with them in the future. Chen Xiaohua sighed and said, after you tidy up and take a shower, let Aunt Lu help you wash your clothes. You can wear them tomorrow. No need to wash it, tomorrow is Friday. Let's wait until the weekend to wash it. Chen Xiaohua got up and went out, returning to the living room. He saw Lu Qing still staring at him eagerly on the sofa. He nodded at Lu Qing and sat beside her, whispering, the child has been wronged and has already severed ties with the Fang family. Lu Qing was shocked and reached out to cover her mouth, looking at him incredulously. Chen Xiaohua nodded and continued to whisper what Fang Ping'an had told him. Lu Qing raised Fang Ping'an until she was 10 years old and was taken away by the Fang family. She was already reluctant to let go and fell ill once. After hearing about Fang Ping'an's experience at the Fang family, it is not only anger, but also heartache for Fang Ping'an's unfortunate life. Xiaohua, why don't we continue to adopt Ping'an? Chen Xiaohua suddenly smiled and said, don't worry, when Ping'an left, the Fang family didn't handle the procedures. Both household registration and adoption procedures are at home. You should wash and sleep. No matter what, let's wait until the child finishes school tomorrow. After finishing her homework, Chen Shuhui rushed to Fang Ping'an's room for the first time. Her violent movements startled Fang Ping'an. Ping'an, I've finished writing. The girl, with an excited smile on her face, ran over and sat down on his bed. The room was small and originally only had the simplest furniture, so she didn't even have a chair to sit on. At this point, Fang Ping'an had already cleared the blood clots in his ears, and apart from his swollen face, nothing else could be seen. He indulgently reached out and rubbed Chen Shuhui's head. They're all in their first year of high school, why are they still the same as when they were in elementary school? Chen Shuhui chuckled and said, I'm glad you're back. Ping'an, you don't know. We've seen each other too few times in recent years. If I don't take a closer look at you, I'm afraid I won't recognize you on the street in a few more years. Fang Ping'an smiled and said, how could it be? I will never forget you. Besides, I'm not leaving anymore. I'll also live here from now on. Really? You didn't lie to me. Chen Shuhui didn't believe it. Fang Ping'an nodded and looked at her with a smile. Ah. That's great. Chen Shuhui did not disappoint him at all and indeed let out an excited scream. Seeing her so happy, Fang Ping'an felt warm in her heart when she thought of her adoptive father and mother's attitude and expression towards him before. It's really different. Alright, it's already late and I have to go to school tomorrow. In the future, I will help you check and tutor your homework. You can't be lazy. Chen Shuhui immediately waved her fist and said, no need, my grades are very good. 1 capital is in the top 3 of the class. Fang Ping'an chuckled and said, starting from today, I will no longer hide my strength. Starting from the next weekly test, I want to be the first in my grade. Let's work hard together. Chen Shuhui swung her fist hard. Bai Xingxing's small fist curved under the illumination of the room light and landed in Fang Ping'an's eyes. Has anyone ever cared if I can handle it? You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. The next morning, Fang Ping'an woke up a bit late and didn't get up until almost 7 o'clock. Usually, I wake up at 6:30 and then grab some food at the huge restaurant of the Fang family. I take the bus and arrive at the school around 7:20. Just in time for morning self-study. After getting up and walking into the bathroom, I saw a very new glass and unopened toothbrush and toothpaste. These are all specially prepared by Lu Qing for him. And Chen Shuhui's cry had already been heard in the living room. Ping'an, you got up late. I'm planning to wake you up now. Chen Xiaohua and his wife opened a small Jiangnan snack shop. Get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go to the store to prepare breakfast. The store is not big, but it has been open outside the community for almost 20 years, and it is all taken care of by old neighbors. Fang Ping'an finished tidying up and returned to his room, picked up his backpack, and walked into the living room. Chen Shuhui is soaking deep-fried dough sticks in soybean milk. Eat quickly, let's finish eating and leave together. Chen Shuhui didn't lift her head, she also had to hurry. The two are not in the same school, and Chen Shuhui's grades are also very good, but she is in number 27 middle school. Fang Ping'an took 3 or 2 mouthfuls of soybean milk, pulled a plastic bag and put 2 deep-fried dough sticks into it. It's too late, take it to school to eat. Chen Shuhui also accelerated her pace of eating and the two walked out of the house together. He didn't expect to hear a sound coming from not far away as soon as he walked out of the unit door. I said he must have come to such a dirty place, right? Although the voice was not loud, it was already quite quiet at this time in the morning, and he and Chen Shuhui could hear it clearly. Fang Ping'an turned his head and saw that it was the Porsche that third sister was driving. The front and rear windows are both shaken down. At this moment, Fang Zhidie sitting in the driver's seat had such an expression as expected. Zhao Wei was sitting in the back seat, but at this moment, her eyes were still hazy with tears. Hui, you go first. I'll go to school by myself later. He whispered to Chen Shuhui, then turned around and walked towards this side. Chen Shuhui remained silent and quickly left with her head down. Fang Ping'an, wearing yesterday's blue school uniform, stood about 2 meters in front of the car and asked, "Didn't we agree not to disturb each other?" Upon hearing this sentence, Fang Zhidie was immediately exploded. Fang Ping'an, I gave you face, right? Before the rest could be said, Zhao Wei pushed open the car door and walked down, trying to grab Fang Ping'an's hand. Fang Ping'an took a few steps back. If there's something to talk about, I'll go to school if there's nothing else. He has a calm voice and no emotional fluctuations. Ping'an, it's Mom who's sorry for you. The necklace or anything is not important. How about you go home with your mother? Zhao Wei comes from a big family and has also received higher education. She certainly knows that she is sorry for Fang Ping'an. If a child is lost from a young age, it must be the fault of an adult. What is wrong with a baby? Her outstretched hand hung awkwardly in mid-air, then she put it down. Mom knows we overlooked your feelings, but she promises to treat you well in the future, okay? Fang Zhidie sat in the car and didn't get off, just angry with her mother why she had to come with her. Upon hearing her mother's low voice, she angrily patted the steering wheel, but ultimately did not say anything that made Fang Ping'an angry. Before coming, Zhao Wei had already received numerous warnings and instructions. Fang Ping'an looked at his mother with a smile on his face, not saying a word. Zhao Wei continued with a crying voice, Mom guarantees to treat you well. Fang Ping'an shook his head and said, Did you finish speaking? After speaking, I went to class. He stepped out of his legs and was about to leave. Fang Zhidie suddenly pushed open the car door and walked down, pointing at Fang Ping'an's nose and loudly saying, "Fang Ping'an, don't go too far. Hongjun is generous and doesn't want you to apologize. Come back with us well. You are still the young master of the Fang family." Fang Hongjun.The never believed that Fang Ping'an was her younger brother. Although they lived together for the Western New Year, their communication during this time was almost zero. Or to put it another way, she has basically not given any feedback on the other party's safe gesture of goodwill. "You posted it yourself. Even though I know I don't like or recognize you, isn't it disgusting to post it?" She always believed that Fang Ping'an cherished the identity of the young master of the Fang family very much. Once adult, according to the rules of the Fangjia family in the capital, everything that should be given should be given. Fang Ping'an couldn't bear to part with the wealth of the Fang family. Knowing that the agreement had no legal effect, he pretended to take it out and forced his father and mother to drive away Hongjun's younger brother. His current actions are nothing more than a retreat to advance and a reckless pursuit. Fang Ping'an stopped and smiled. "Oh. Don't you need to apologize? That's your condition." Zhao Wei quickly nodded and said, "No need to apologize. It's Mom who's sorry for you, not your fault." Fang Hongjun.The snorted. Fang Ping'an shook his head and said, "Oh, this is your condition. What about my condition?" Zhao Wei was shocked and opened her mouth, but still didn't say anything. Fang Hongjun.The's face changed. "Fang Ping'an, don't go too far. I advise you to stop when you feel better and come back with us." Fang Ping'an nodded and said, "I understand. You guys go, I'm going to school, otherwise I'll be late." Fang Hongjun.The snatched ahead of Zhao Wei and said, "We've all come to pick you up, what else do you want? You scared Hongjun, shouldn't you apologize to him?" Zhao Wei took 2 steps forward with a bitter expression on her face and said, "Ping'an, won't you go home with Mom?" Fang Ping'an vomited in her airway. "I won't go back, as I made it clear yesterday, either I'll leave or Fang Hongjun will leave the Fang family. But now it's obvious that you're willing to choose Fang Hongjun, that's your freedom, and I have no right to interfere. In the future, please don't disturb my life, can you? I don't have that much time to get tangled up with you." Fang Hongjun.The cursed angrily. "Who do you think you are? Who are you showing this posture to? Fang Hongjun is my younger brother, I won't let him go. As for you, I am just giving you one last chance. I don't even want to come to such a lowly place. Do you really consider yourself a treasure?" Zhao Wei's figure trembled. She thought yesterday was just a minor conflict, and that agreement was just a child's frustration. "Ping'an, do you have to let Hongjun leave? You're going to dig my mother's heart." Fang Ping'an lowered his head and glanced at his watch, realizing that time was running out. "If you don't leave again, you will really be late." "Mrs. Fang, I understand your feelings." Fang Ping'an forced out a smile and said, "Fang Hongjun was a substitute for the 10 Western years when I was not here, and with the Western years when I came back, it was a total of 18 years. Living together for 18 years, watching him grow up from a young age, your relationship is very deep. But you shouldn't let me live under the same roof as him, and even the most basic bowl of water is not enough. All of you are worried that he won't be able to accept it, but has anyone among you ever cared if I can handle it? Has anyone ever cared about my feeling of watching my own parents and loved ones being taken away?" He turned around and left. "I still have to go to school, so I won't bother with you anymore. As I said last night, we have severed our relationship. I will not go to see you, and please do not disturb me again. The agreement has already been signed, and there is no further connection between you and me." Chapter 9. Fang Ping'an is really cruel. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Zhao Wei couldn't hold back her tears. "I usually think Fang Ping'an is vulgar and uncivilized when I see him at the Fang family, but I never thought that it should be her responsibility." She also believed that Fang Ping'an's proposal to sever ties was just a facade. After all, the economic strength of the Fang family is quite good. Being able to enter the Fang family is a dream for many people. She had thought that Fang Ping'an would be as obedient as before, and no matter what request he made, he would do his best to get her approval. In the morning, it was Fang Hongjun.The who watched Fang Hongjun blush early in the morning, feeling angry and wanting someone to take Fang Ping'an back and apologize. It was Zhao who wanted to come herself. Anyway, Fang Ping'an was born in October when she was pregnant, but she was lost by the hospital right after giving birth, but now something is wrong. Fang Ping'an walked quickly and disappeared from their sight within a few minutes. Zhao looked at Fang Ping'an's back and couldn't understand. She just couldn't bear to let Fang Hongjun leave her. Can't he understand this kind of emotion? But he just said it clearly. Can you understand? Her husband Fang Junhong had told her to have strict requirements for safety, in order to cultivate them well and to inherit the family business of the Fang family in the future. So in recent years, their demands for each other's safety have been very strict. There are even very few smiling faces. But she forgot everyone's attitude and requirements towards Hongjun, and compared to Fang Ping'an, they were completely different standards. Even though she is very sad now, she still doesn't want Fang Hongjun to leave. That's her son who has been raised from a little baby to now. It was cultivated by her countless efforts and resources. Both learning and etiquette are almost impeccable. Although it's a bit clingy, isn't that just a sign of deep affection between mother and son? What's wrong with this? It is said that nurturing kindness is greater than family kindness, and Fang Hongjun is very kind to everyone in his family. Why can't Fang Ping'an accept his own biological son? Fang Hongjun.The stepped forward to support Zhao, frowned and advised, "Mom, stop crying and go back. Next month will be Hongjuan's 18th birthday, and the birthday banquet and coming-of-age ceremony have not been prepared yet." Zhao got into the car without saying a word, and the two of them then left. Fang Ping'an rushed all the way to the bus stop and was indeed late when he arrived at the school. He didn't walk through the door, but instead climbed over the wall, circled around, and then slipped upstairs. Looking at the faces of his classmates in his memory, he silently said to himself, "In this lifetime, stop pretending. I want to get first place in the exam." Fortunately, he still remembers his seat, although there is no need to remember because only one seat in the class is empty. He returned to his seat, pulled out his book, and began to pretend. It's the first semester of his senior year, and if he wants to get into a good university, he really needs to give it his all. Anyway, he will not lose to Fang Hongjun. It will also prove that choosing to leave the Fang family is the right choice. The books and notebooks on the table were high. He shrank behind them and took out deep-fried dough sticks and bit them. Immediately after, my arm was hit. "Ping'an, give me one, I didn't have breakfast either." Fang Ping'an tilted his head and looked at him, his chubby face frowning and making eyes. Zhao Huayan, his desk mate for 3 years of high school. The relationship between the two is very good, but this guy's academic performance is not very good. Fang Ping'an handed him a deep-fried dough sticks, wrapped deep-fried dough sticks in his mouth and said, "Just 2. The fat man took the deep-fried dough sticks with a happy face, "Don't worry, the lunch haul, please." But then the fat man added, "I actually ate it this morning, but when I smelled the smell of deep-fried dough sticks, I was hungry again." Fang Ping'an. He spent the morning calmly and hardly wasted any time, listening attentively. During the break, he was flipping through his textbooks except for pouring water. I haven't seen these things for over a decade, and many things still need to be reviewed again. 38 Middle School is an ordinary high school, which cannot be compared to the first middle school where Fang Hongjun is located. He is well aware that Fang Hongjun's grades are also very good, after all, he is a seed of Fang Junhong. He is so smart himself, and that wild seed is not much different. In recent years, what he knows is that guy's grades in their school can already rank in the top 30 of their grade. Based on the position of Izhong in Yuncheng, Fang Hongjun's achievements are undoubtedly above the 985 level. In the 38th middle school, it is true that only the top 30 are likely to get into the 985, which is a gap in teaching staff that cannot be filled. It is said that there are only two types of children in number 1 middle school. There are not many people in this group who are either rich or noble. Another type is the real academic achievers, who are many, and basically all the top students in the province are at number 1 middle school. Moreover, for students from poor family conditions, there are various subsidies. Fang Ping'an knows his grades. Although he passed the 985 exam in his previous life, he was kidnapped before he could report. This time, I won't. He won't answer any calls from Fang Hongjun, and he won't go to any unfamiliar places. Although he has now severed ties with the Fang family, Fang Hongjun's acting skills are excellent and he is ruthless. Not only did he kill him, but he continued to endure until he returned from studying abroad and truly took control of the Fang family before revealing his identity. Zhao Wei quickly fell ill and passed away, and her elder sister was exposed by Fang Hongjun. Think about the West sister who really shares the same parents as him. In the end, only West sister Fang Miaoshuan was able to live a good life. The others are really quite miserable. Fang Zhidie and Zhao Wei returned home with a look of anger on their faces. Zhao Wei felt sad in her heart and didn't have much thought to think about Fang Hongjun's coming-of-age ceremony or birthday. She went back to her room to rest. And Fang Junhong, Fang Qingyan, and Fang Jinglei are all at home. Except for Fang Miaoshuan, who was in her 3rd year, who did not come back, everyone else was there. That's how it went. That guy doesn't want to come back. Fang Zhidie sat angrily on the sofa, picked up the tea from Fang Jinglei next to her and took a sip. Fang Junhong looked stern and angrily said, "How dare he, this rebellious son? Did our Fang family apologize to him? Give him food, dress him, and not overly harsh on him." Okay, since you don't want to come back, then never come back. Fang Qingyan and Fang Jinglei had not yet spoken, but Fang Zhidie had already spoken. "Dad, you didn't see it. My mom had already lowered her posture this morning, and I gave her a step, but that guy just didn't want to. You insist that we drive away Hongjun's younger brother. Do you think he is sick? Our relationship with Hongjun for over a decade, if we don't want it, then we don't want it anymore. Fang Ping'an is really too vicious." Fang Qingyan frowned and glanced at her, asking, "Didn't you ask me about that necklace? That necklace is really important to me." Fang Zhidie hesitated for a moment and said, "I forgot. Mom even told him that the necklace matter is not important, as long as he is willing to come back." Let me see. If that thief comes back, how much more things might be lost at home. Chapter 10, Why don't you just throw it away? You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Fang Qingyan's face became increasingly ugly. "I'll go ask him, but if that's not possible, I'll give him money to retrieve the necklace." Fang Junhong suddenly shouted loudly, "Old Tang, old Tang." The butler Tang Bo came out of the room and stood behind him, whispering, "Master, what do you have to say?" Fang Junhong said, "Go clean up all the things in that room of the rebel and throw them in the trash can. Since he has already returned to his foster parents' house, why not come back? Please take everything out so that I don't get annoyed watching." "Yes, sir, I'll arrange it in a while. The room can be cleaned before noon." Fang Junhong waved his hand, and Tang Bo turned around to prepare to return to his room. Fang Qingyan asked, "Tang Bo, which school does Ping'an attend?" Tang Bo turned around and respectfully replied, "Miss, young Master Ping'an is in number 38 middle school." Fang Junhong became angry again and said angrily, "Don't call that rebellious young master again in the future, he doesn't deserve it. No, don't mention him in front of me in the future. It is difficult to transition from extravagance to frugality. I don't believe that after living a luxurious life in the Fang family, he can continue to live in that kind of slum. Since you're not coming back, don't wait either. Do whatever you need to do." Fang Jinglei looked up at her father and saw that his face was full of anger. She immediately dispelled the idea of speaking. She really wants to say that in the past few years, Fang Ping'an lived in a servant's room, while Fang Hongjun lived alone in a huge bedroom. Fang Ping'an takes showers in the shared bathrooms of the servants, while Fang Hongjun's bedroom is not only a suite, but also a dedicated dressing room and game room, let alone the bathroom. That guy's bathtub is bigger than his own. Where is Fang Ping'an? There are not many clothes in the wardrobe, and there are fewer than a pair of shoes in total. She really wants to ask what exactly Fang Ping'an said yesterday meant. But looking at my father's expression, I still forgot. She decided to take some time to ask Fang Ping'an in person what she wanted to tell them about that sentence. In thought, she watched as Fang Qingyan stood up with her bag and said, "Then I'll go to the company. There's another meeting at 10:30, and we'll meet in the afternoon with the Zhao family. Dad, you also need to attend these too, don't forget." Fang Junhong hummed and got up upstairs. Fang Zhijie also stood up and said, "I should go too. Lawyer Gu has very strict requirements, and I can't be late either. Second sister, only you are more leisurely. You can spend time with your mother at home." She even cried when she came back. Fang Jinglei waved her hand to indicate that she knew. During break time, the chubby guy saw Fang Ping'an buying bread from the school store and actually went to buy 2 chicken legs. Fang Ping'an impolitely robbed one as a compensation for deep-fried dough sticks in the morning. Nevertheless, it was at an age of physical growth that both of them were extremely hungry by noon. Not only the two of them, but also all the children who eat at school are like hungry wolves. When Fang Ping'an left the Fang family, he didn't have much pocket money except for the recharge on his card. Even the money he saved was only over 10,000 yuan. But this is all his assets. If it weren't for the money from the school recharge card that he couldn't withdraw, he would definitely withdraw all the money. Isn't it just going home for lunch? 38 Middle School is only West Station Road away from his adoptive father's house, and he is now reluctant to waste time. After lunch, he returned to the classroom and was lying on his seat reading a book, while the fat man was sleeping on the side. Towards 1 o'clock, with the sound of high heels, a figure appeared in front of him. Looking up from behind the tall book, he saw Fang Jinglei. "Come out, I have something to say to you." Fang Jinglei's expression was very calm, and Fang Ping'an couldn't see anything. "I just feel a bit annoyed. Didn't you tell me not to disturb me?" He nodded as he looked at the classmates in the classroom who were either reading or sleeping. Upon seeing him nod, Fang Jinglei turned around and left. Fang Ping'an followed behind her and walked down the teaching building. "I have kept the things you left at home. Do you want them in my car?" When passing through the open space in front of the teaching building, Fang Jinglei asked as she walked. Fang Ping'an remained silent. Fang Jinglei stopped and turned around to look at him under the big tree on the side. Fang Ping'an stopped and said, "Is that why you're here?" He was a bit puzzled. The Western sisters of the Fang family, apart from Fang Miaoshuan, rarely talk to him, but never speak ill of each other. Others have never had a good expression towards him. Fang Jinglei remained silent and just looked at him like that. Fang Ping'an shook his head and said, "No need. You should take it and throw it away first." Fang Jinglei said, "It's in the car. If you want it, come with me to get it later. I came to see you for something else." "What did you mean by that last sentence when you left yesterday?" Fang Ping'an glanced at her and said, "It's not very interesting." "There's nothing else, I have to go back to the classroom. In the future, no matter what happens, please let me go and don't come looking for me. I am no longer a member of your Fang family." Fang Jinglei is not fond of Fang Ping'an, and she is well aware of this in her own heart. "Although I don't like it, I didn't really dislike it at first. There is one more person to eat for herself, and this person rarely appears in front of her. What she looks down on the most is Fang Ping'an stealing things, which is what she hates the most. Delicious food and good clothing are available for you, and it also allows you to enter the Fang family. Is that how you repay us? I stole so much and still don't admit it. When Fang Ping'an stole something for the first time, she followed the advice of Sanmei and asked this guy to get out of the Fang family. If it weren't for his parents not agreeing, he would have been kicked out and returned to the Chen family a long time ago. You said that Hongjun was just an adopted son, but that sentence was meant to his mother. What exactly does this sentence mean? Fang Jinglei is very beautiful. It should be said that all the children of the Fang family are very beautiful. Among them, the second sister Fang Jinglei is the most beautiful. Not only that, but the figure is also quite good. She and Fang Ping'an stood under the tree talking, not only making the security guard at the door pay their attention, but also many students lying on the window looking over here. Fang Ping'an continued to shake his head. It doesn't have any special meaning. Just to tell you, he is an adopted son. I have nothing else to do. You can leave and don't come to me again in the future. He turned around and walked away, while Fang Jinglei stood in place, watching him quickly run through the sunny open space and disappear from sight. Does he really have no other intentions? But why did he have to repeat it at that time? That one is your adopted son, but only your adopted son. What exactly does this mean? It's impossible to just say that Hongjun is the adopted son and he is the legitimate young master of the Fang family's bloodline. Otherwise, he doesn't need to say that. I don't want anything anymore. What are you worried about, or do you really want to completely sever ties with the Fang family? If that's the case, can we say that the jewelry lost by the elder sister and the third sister was really not stolen by him? Then she shook her head again. Those things, combined with a value of nearly 10 million, even if this guy sells them at a low price, they can at least sell for more than 1 million. With that 1 million yuan as a foundation, it's normal not to look up to those things. She turned around and walked towards the school gate. Take out a suitcase and leave it in the gatehouse. Tell the security to hand it over to Fang Ping'an from the 3rd class of high school and leave. She felt that the truth might not be what she knew. But there is no evidence to prove it. The whole family has always trusted Hongjun very much, and what he said is believed by the whole family. But every time, Fang Ping'an says it's not him who did it. Fang Jinglei doesn't know who to trust anymore. At least, Fang Ping'an's gaze just now was very firm, and there was even a hint of mockery.